Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Birdies with Boynsy. Out here, braving the elements as usual for you lot. Had another request from Cameron, seems to be my biggest fan, but he's asked for a downhill chip shot and an uphill chip shot. We looked at the downhill one before, so we could quickly recap that from a previous episode, and then we'll look at the uphill one with a little bit more in depth. So the ball flight thing doesn't quite work on these shorter shots, so we'll get that back in play whenever we're hitting the longer shots, but hopefully you can still see the different heights that the ball's flying at from the different shots and clubs that we're using. So just off this downhill lie, we want to try and make sure that we get ourselves level with the slope, make sure the weight's coming forward so we can hit into the back of it. I've got a more lofted club here, the 58. Because we're coming off the downhill, we're going to have to, not help, but by using a more lofted club, it will help the ball pop up in the air. We're not helping it, we're choosing a club that will help it. So we don't want to be trying to flick it, we're going to use the same technique, make sure the weight's forward and get into the back of it. So the higher lofted club's going to have it fly further. Luckily we've got a pin in the middle of the green, so we've got lots of green to work with. You might see another club lying down there, we'll look at that in a minute. So make sure the weight's there, again gripping down it for a little bit more control. One of the main things here I'd say is to make sure you have a couple of practice swings, because it's a position we don't normally find ourselves in. So just get used to where that bottom of the turf is and get that practice swing in. So then hopefully once you get into the ball, it's just going to pop out like so. Not a bad effort. I just mentioned another little club there. Again, because we've got quite a lot of green to work with, I've got the 7-iron here now, not the club that you want to use that for. I'd be looking to land this on the green. If you use the 7-iron, it's just going to stay low. We're not going to be able to control the distance as much, and it's a bit more of a jabby shot into it rather than that higher lofted one with the 58. So as I said, we've already got a video on that. If you want a bit more in depth on that, pop back and see that previous video, and let's have a look at the one on the upslope now. Move from the 6th over to the 8th. As you can see, nice big slope here. Ball's going to roll down it nicely. So, playing on the uphill slope. We looked at the downhill slope previously. I'm going to do the first shot with the 58-degree wedge. I think that's going to give us a bit too much height, especially for this pin placement. I know it's a red flag, but that looks a little bit more middle to me. Not sure which greenkeeper's cut that one. But if the flag was a little bit closer, we'd be looking at a different shot entirely. So with the 58, again, like on that down slope, we want to make sure on this upslope we're getting our weight level with the slope, so we're not too. If the weight's too far forward, you're just going to be digging into the slope. That's going to leave us with an inconsistent shot. Might work, might get it close. It's just going to be inconsistent, so we don't want that. Consistency is key here. So make sure you get the weight there. We're going to have to think about the length of backswing. Again, we've got a different club just on the floor, which is going to help us with a bit of consistency. With the 58, the ball's going to fly higher, especially off this slope. We don't need to generate any more height or any more loft trajectory from this shot. It's going to be there already. So with the 58, it's going to go a bit higher, going to need a longer backswing to get it there. This first one might not make it all the way back to the flag. So make sure you get those couple of practice swings in. Just familiarise yourself with the shot. This isn't a usual shot, a usual situation we find ourselves in. So make sure you get that weight level, ball position nicely, gripping down, and it pops up quite high. Had to give that quite a bit. Hopefully you saw how quick that stopped and the height it went at. So let's have a little look at it. All I'm doing there, I'm going to keep everything the same. I'm going to change to my pitching wedge. Lower trajectory, lower flight. The ball's going to run out a little bit more and hopefully end up a little bit closer to the hole. So because we've changed club, make sure you get those couple of practice swings in. Like I said, everyone's going to want to keep their weight forward on top of the slope. That's just going to lead to the stabby action. Like I said, that's not going to be consistent, not what we want. So just make sure you're almost just sweeping it up of there. You see how high that still goes? It just rolls on a little bit. Again, just changing club, the distance control isn't going to be easy. Like I said, depending on where the flag is, we might need to try and hit a different shot, use a different club, bit more height. Could use a different, I wouldn't go lower than the pitching wedge or a 9, but whatever works for you. Right, thank you again, Cameron. I know you keep the requests coming, so we'll get to Charlie's bunker shot one day when it's not absolutely drenched out here. Unfortunately, the weather hasn't been too kind to us. It was a little bit rainy in Turkey last week for me, but hopefully we'll get some more requests in and we'll be looking at more shots in the near future.